does the Senate have a constitutional obligation to surrender him or only a duty not to obstruct lawful processes? You have 2 minutes, Dean.
The Senate has the duty to surrender Senator Bato. You know, in our constitutional setup, you have the executive, judiciary, and the legislature. That is the dispersal of powers. No, the executive executes the law, peace and order, foreign policy. The legislature makes laws and impeachment trials. So nakikita na natin doon yung delineation ng poder nila. So pagdating ng pag-i-issue ng warrant of arrest at saka pagsaserve ng warrant of arrest, alam natin kung sinong dapat gumawa nun. Ang dapat gumawa nun, executive. And so therefore, kung titingnan natin, if there should be a balancing of respect, dapat naman nananaig in favor of the executive because that is their job. So dapat alam na ng legislature na dapat gawin nila yon. Ngayon, ang tanong is that warrant of arrest valid? Yung ICC warrant of arrest. Of course it is valid. Mag-umpisa tayo sa international law. Crime against humanity, genocide, piracy, that's international law. And our Constitution says that we accept the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land. So therefore, in 2009, gumawa tayo ng tulay, a legal bridge, and that is Republic Act 9851. 9851 says in Section 17 that kung inuusig na at iniimbestiga na ang isang taong pinaratanganan ng isang krimen against humanity, pwede nang ipahintulot ng gobyerno natin na sila na ang mag-usig at sila na ang mag-imbestiga. At kung kinakailangan, we could also deliver the suspect them. So meron yan. So remember this, Republic Act 9851 existed even prior to the Rome Statute. So even without the Rome Statute, it will exist independently. So yun yung tulay natin. And so that therefore, ang ating gobyerno can recognize an already existing investigation. Kasi nakalagay dun sa batas, already conducting an investigation.
So pag already na...
Yes. So therefore, sinabi ng gobyerno natin, pwede na yan. So therefore, because our government recognizes that jurisdiction, then we recognizes its processes, the ICC. Kaya kung mag-i-issue pa ng warrant of arrest dito, it's a redundancy. Hindi na talaga kailangan.
Okay, thank you, Dean Mel. And you'll have time later to further discuss that when we go into our
very quickly lang, yung itong dapat malaman din na nanonood, no? Itong RA 9851 na na-mention ni Dean Mel. I can even mention the senators that actually pushed and sponsored this.
Yeah.
And they are now the same senators who are actually not following it.
Like who?
Later. Suspense.
Ikaw naman, makakalimutan. Sige, dapat sabihin mo, baka
Pero may
makalimutan natin
magagaling din
tanongin.
noon.
May magagaling din noon.
Emphasis noon.
Emphasis. Anyway.
Okay, Attorney Paolo, parliamentary institutions are designed to protect legislative independence. But when that protection intersects with allegations of crimes against humanity, where should constitutional boundaries be drawn? And do you agree that the Senate can refuse to surrender Senator Bato de la Rosa?
Well, for starters, constitutional boundaries should be drawn by the Supreme Court, not by the executive, not by the legislative. And I think in this context, in this situation, to be fair to the Senate, I think they were forced into this hand. As we know, there are pending petitions for habeas corpus since last year. We filed those on March 12, the day after the former president was brought to The Hague. And they've been pending for now almost 14 months. So the Supreme Court could have given guidance a long time ago, and this could have been avoided if they ruled on the petitions and said this is how you execute an ICC warrant, then we wouldn't be here. But there's no guidance yet from the Supreme Court. So for us, as counsels for the petitions for habeas corpus, the government, the executive, has capitalized on this silence to propagate the same constitutional violations that they did to the former president, now to Senator Bato. It's forced, number one, the Senate to adopt Senate Resolution number 44, where they condemn extrajudicial renditions. And they've called for the protection of all Filipinos from extrajudicial renditions and to call for their right to avail of legal remedies within a reasonable time prior to extradition or surrender. So, since this is the situation and tumakbo sa kanila si Bato, they were forced into taking this principled stand to take him into protective custody precisely to allow him to avail of his legal remedies before Philippine courts. And for me, this is basic kasi the Constitution says persons are protected against unlawful arrest. And for us, that means an arrest warrant should be issued by a Philippine judge, not by an ICC warrant. So for us, this means that before an ICC warrant is implemented, it should first go through confirmation from the local court.